So just to clarify, this is something of a proxy speech also for me. So Andrew was one of Whitey's closest friends. I guess once you make it to the right side of 80, many of your peers and your contemporaries get to your funeral. Plenty don't get there in person, so to speak. So for me growing up, this is the group of people who, along with your own parents, shape how you see the world and how you make your own way. Most of the recollections and stories about Whitey have a common theme. As we've heard, in his own gentle way, he was a nonconformist, of individual thoughts and example. It's maybe not so surprising given his own parents' influences. So the stories and legends we grew up were of jazz music, the Davis Cup, trying to get to the '56 Olympics when the flood was at its peak. These are people not prone to boredom. At one of Bob Wheeldon's famous Christmas parties, the Whyte boys, Jim Watson, and I thought we might sample a bit of Chivas Regal out on the Wyndham veranda. Through the big sash windows, Whitey said, "I hope you kids aren't putting Coke in that good scotch." So my own early memories were of a man who spoke slowly and quietly, but travelled really, really quickly. He's a wonderful driver and a navigator in the bush or in Sydney. His whole life went hard. For Gus and Marg's joint celebration at Morna Station, he was tasked with putting balloons out at signs and gates coming out the mail road. Mum and I followed him out of town on that road in the Grey Ghost Commodore. All I saw was dust and balloons every 10 mile or so, and he was stopping to put them up. His only mishaps, as we've heard, really were other factors like emus, cleaning him up on a motorbike, collateral damage from kangaroos, and as we've already heard, gravity sometimes before his honeymoon. Yeah, funny story, as he would explain to Bill Wheeldon. To go back a fair bit earlier, Leslie Nicholson was talking about two ponies she and Whitey had, Rabbit and Roosel. Came down with Twynham. So these two and Dad became quite the Willow Point crew. Rex, Tex and Bex installed gang headquarters in the Willow Point shearers' quarters. They proceeded to fortify the area with tunnels and forts where they could carry on hostilities with the Tunkins. Horses and polo became part of the social fabric. Whitey became a focal point at number 1 for Broken Hill or Wentworth, running hard to goal where he'd either score or leave the ball behind on occasion. Head, throwback, whale. Oh, Jesus! It was nearly the end of him at one point. Girth broke at an exhibition game in Mildura, I think. The old helmet split. He was out cold for several days. For all that Whitey was very much an individual, he had stints in the system at Scotch College, jackarooed with the McLaughlins at Mulgathing, and even the Army. A gifted athlete. At school he became a naturalist, land and water manager, and a skilled pastoralist. He loved the station, loved the sheep and the dogs, the cattle not so much. So the family story began with Margietti, the local girl, though living in Melbourne at the time. They began the original distance romance, with Marg travelling up on the train, often with her flatmate, Aggie Ring. They've been married 57 years, mostly spent at Willow Point. And later on, as Gus and Kelly kept Wyndham in the family. People often talk about their bucket list. I don't know if Whitey had one, but I think there were plenty of boxes ticked. A long life wrapped around Willow Point and Wyndham in the Anna Branch, not without its challenges, but lived on his own terms. Friendships, local and global. A family he tended carefully, with plenty of space to pursue their own individuality, just as he did to the end.